anything.
Adam alone time. I can't even begin to imagine how that would
Just don't.
have been caused.
No, don't. It's probably the less you spend imagining, the better on that one, I should imagine.
I was going to
Oh,
say,
dear.
I've sat in a Praga brick car actually. Been fortunate enough to not have a drive in one, but I've sat in one. So
Crikey, they look really small and difficult to get in and out of. Is that right?
they're not too bad to get in and out of because they're like a Formula One car, I suppose. You can sort of sit on the radiator
Mm.
and get yourself in that way. Yes, they're very small. They feel like a very small Le Mans prototype because the way they have that bubble cockpit with sort of wheels and such that feel, not like a GT car. It's more like a prototype in its design. So you have
Yes.
a very central point of view when you're in the car. Sometimes they have the seat in the middle with a steering wheel in the middle. Sometimes I think there's the older model maybe that has a seat on the left or the right and a wheel on the left or right, because there is a road going version of the car as well.
I'm not sure how much I'd get on with them, being 6'2" and how shall we put this? Somewhat rotund. I'm not sure a Praga would be best suited to my shape. Maybe a truck.
No,
But,
they're quite roomy. They're not like a Formula One car in that respect. You've got a cockpit to yourself. You've got quite a lot of space. I'm just trying to think of some of the drivers. The trouble is, Jimmy's not the tallest. I met him, and I expected to look up because I'm 5'5", but he must only be about 5'6", 5'7".
he's skinny as a rake as well, isn't he?
I'm as skinny as a rake, so he just seemed normal. He just seemed normal to me.
Don't ever come and stand next to me then.
Trying to think of the other drivers, like Jem Hepworth. She's only 5'4". Charlie Martin's only 5'7", 5'8", maybe.
It's Abby Eaton as well.
Abby Eaton, she is quite tall, but I don't remember her driving a Praga.
She did some Praga races last year before she broke her back. At Spa. Yeah, she did do a few last year.
And my good friend Richard Morris, who co-founder of Racing Pride, drove for one of the Praga customer teams. So it wasn't Praga themselves; it was a sort of team that had bought Pragas to drive with. And he's only 5'5", 5'4" himself.
Maybe it's my height that would cause me an issue. Anyway, I see Dan has put the World Series calendar up on screen in front of us. So let's just quickly run through that before we dive into the action. Tonight is round one. It's a 45-minute race at Kyalami in South Africa. It's a great track, really good fun. Has some big challenges on that layout though, especially that fast right towards the end with the giant sausage curb on the right hand side. That will claim some victims tonight, I'm sure. Next week we are off to Barcelona in Spain. That one's for a 75-minute race. So the format sort of mixes and matches all the way through the season. Round 3 at Suzuka on the 6th of Feb is back to 45-minuter. Then round 4, Alton Park. Now, I'm not trying to be funny, but 50 GT3 cars around Alton Park. If we don't get any carnage in that 45-minute race, I will be amazed. But I would be even more amazed if we don't get absolute carnage the following week when we try and throw 50 GT3s around Bathurst. I'm not quite sure what Johnny was thinking. He has just joined. But we'll ask him that in a moment, I'm sure. And then we finish off the season round 6 at Laguna Seca on the 27th of Feb. That one is a big 90-minute race. So a packed calendar. And as you heard me say, 46 cars you will see tonight, including Mr. Johnny Ashley. Good evening, sir.
Hello.
How is El Boss tonight?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. Dragged round shopping for most of the day, but I'm not too bad now. I've had a little nap. I'm all good.
Excellent. And was it you who set that poll?
What a poll.
The poll in the Twitch chat?
No, I haven't touched Twitch. It wasn't me.
I believe you actually, because you sound surprised, but I was convinced it was you because it was spelt poorly. But never mind.
That's Dave trying to do one over on me, I bet.
Well, he got it right. He got it right. So, what are you expecting tonight for yourself?
For me, it will just be finish as high up in silver class as possible and beat Willie Blackhammer. So that's just the standard.
The Johnny and Willie battle continues in yet another series.
Well, it would be Johnny and Adam, but someone managed to break his foot.
Yeah, somebody did. I would love to be driving my Lexus tonight. What did you go with in the end? Because you tried the Lexus last week. What did you choose?
I went with the Merc. I'm in the Merc. So
that's the one that you say you never feel very fast, but you always get good results with it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It always feels like it wants to kill me at any given opportunity, but I just keep getting good results in it. So what? Don't fix what ain't broke, I suppose.
Yeah, thanks for that. I would like to fix what is broke if I could. Yeah, Jimbo's just asked in the chat, Adam, have you tried walking it off? Yes, it didn't work. Just made it worse. There we go. SOB, welcome to the chat as well. 46 cars. This will be a fun watch indeed. It could be carnage. We are out in qualifying, as you can see, so we have the action on track. We're following Alex Depper at the moment. The way this works is we've got 3 different classes of car out there. We've got AMS, Silver and Pro drivers. So the evaluation races over the last couple of weeks have split everyone into where they should be in terms of classes by looking at their times, running it through a giant Willie Blackhammer spreadsheet of doom that then puts people into classes. And it was bang on right, because it put me in the AM class. But then again, it does screw up every now and again, and it put Johnny in the silver class. So we'll see how he gets on there. But first out on track are the AMs, so they go first, and then it will be silvers, and then it will be pros. Any insights into the track for us, Johnny? You've been out there and done some practice, I assume?
Yeah, I went out. I think it'll be a completely different track to what we saw in practice, because practice was on a Friday, the track's always a little bit greener, and there was some weather by the looks of it. Just as we were getting towards the end of practice, there was going to be some rain, so that might have, the track will still be optimum, but it will wash a certain amount of rubber away. So, but I think we'll see some quick times. Not from me, but we'll see some quick times, that's for sure.
Took the words right out of my mouth. As Gabby Samoes goes fastest right now with a 1:44.0. He's a good 8/10 clear of the rest of the field at the minute. Super early days, but Mr. Samoes on a good day really should be a silver, shouldn't he?
Yeah, if he could keep it on track, yeah. He's changed car, which he took my advice. He's in the rookie league. He took my advice. He was with the Porsche and he was struggling with it. And he took my advice and gone with something a bit more stable. And it looks like he's going to, reap him some rewards. That's for sure. And it'll be good to, he'll be up. I would think he's one of the guys in AM that I think will be up there battling for a championship. That's for sure.
Indeed. I'm intrigued to see how Graham Jackson gets on this season. Old Dog Juice has been improving rapidly over the past couple of months in pretty much everything he touches. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on in the AMs. There's some other quick guys.
Don't worry, Cammie, you'll get used to all the nicknames.
Sorry. Graham Jackson, aka Dog Juice.
Or DJ.
Yeah, that one too. But Yeah, probably the less you ask about why he's called Dog Juice, the better.
Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna. It. I don't want to imagine. It sounds a bit grim. But...
Yeah.
And that's where we should park that one.
Just message him one day and ask him what it means.
I'll make sure I do that.
It has a tail. Well, not the dog.
The
but
dog?
Never mind. Never mind. SOB shocked in chat that Smoers is not in a Porsche. I'm with you there. Absolutely shocking behaviour that he's not in a Porsche. But such is life. He is well clear at the minute. Graham Jackson does pop himself up to second now and is currently on a better lap as well. Alex Depper on a strong one that could bring him within a couple of tenths of our pole man as well.
I think
Gabby
we were on board with David Oller, but just as I spoke, our directors changed to Alex Depper.
Which is not a bad shout because this could be an interesting lap. He's dropped a lot of time in this middle sector though. He was 6 or 7 tenths up at one point, but there we go. He's down to about 2 tenths up, coming towards the end of the lap. Here comes that wicked sausage curb on the inside. Oh, he's given that plenty of breathing space. Don't blame him. And into the final corner. He is 4 tenths up now. Gaining a little bit more. Yeah, very good. Does this put him? Puts him second, and within 3 tenths as well, with Smoers back in the pits.
So I think he could take that positive momentum into another lap, and we could see him pip Smoers for pole position, as Depper's already a fifth of a second faster again.
Absolutely, and don't forget, on that last lap, he lost a good 3 tenths in the middle sector. So yeah, he's got a shout at pole, you know, and there you go. Look, so fastest through sector 1, he's 5 tenths up now, sort of part way through that lap. We are now watching Alex Depper again, and yeah, just dropping that little bit of time in the middle sector again, but still up. Whether it will be enough to take pole or not, I don't know. But oh, Morel gets super close. He is 12 thousandths off Gabby Smoers' time. So where did Morel come from? We didn't spot that one.
Yeah, you've literally got, you know, the time it takes for a camera's shutter to open and close between them. It's like less than the blink of an eye. It really is. They almost cannot get any closer with each other. Depper may get himself into the fray for that first place because he is about a fifth of a second, 2 tenths up, and that will put him just a whisker behind Simoes and Morel. And it's really exciting to see these guys getting so close. That's, you know, they're really starting to push on the edge of what they and their cars can do. As he rounds the final corner now, puts his foot down, keeps it neat and tidy. He's still going to be in third place, I think, but now the leaders, the top 3, separated by less than a tenth of a second.
Absolutely, really good stuff. Jim Allen in 4th, Graham Jackson 5th, Danny Medina is 6th, Sam Roughton is 7th, Mr. Hurst is 8th, Olivier Guerra is 9th, David Oller 10th, Mr. Sambi is 11th, Daniel Bokamp 12th, and Heike van der Veen is 13th. As always, apologies if I am mispronouncing anything. I do tend to do that. I'm sure you can let me know if I can make any improvements on that for the next time I'm on stream. So Gabby Smoers remains fastest, Roughton up to 4th. You're absolutely right.
You were talking about improvements. Roughton improved. If he can neaten corner 13 up, and because he's been going wide at the apex, but if he can hit his apexes, I think he could really find a lot of extra time as we're on board with Depper now, and he's going another tenth of a second faster, which would be enough to clinch pole position. He just needs to keep the rest of the lap neat and tidy as he comes down through Mineshaft up to turn 3, the Crocodiles, and this is where I said Roughton had been missing the apex a bit. Depper goes a little bit wide as well, carries the speed down through turn 15, Cheetah. again a little bit wide. I know there's a scary sausage curb there, but into the final left-hander, turn 16. He's a little bit of wheel spin coming out, and he's lost that advantage he had. So Depper will be starting on the second row at the moment, it seems, before the silver and pros go out.
Absolutely. So yeah, in case you hadn't quite realised, this is the final lap for these guys, because our track should also be filling up with silvers right now. So I think only Morel and Rowton are yet to finish a lap. And look at Morel, he is just over a tenth up. This is Rowton that we're on board with, but Morel's got a really good shout of taking pole here. And Rowton's not going to be far off. In fact, Rowton could be in with a shout as well. Loses a bunch of time out of the final corner. I think that's invalidated.
I think
both of those guys lose their opportunity. But I think the really interesting thing is that Samoas, Morel, Depper, Rowton, they're all of a similar pace tonight when they get a clean lap. So we could have a real battle on our hands in AM class.
Yeah, these drivers would be looking to pester some of the silver drivers out there, I think, and some of the silvers could be down in the midst with the AM drivers as well. I know we've had the evaluation races, but I guess there may be still time to tweak the classes a little bit as we go on through the season. So it looks like some of those AM drivers very, very quick out there, as we're on board with Van Rooyen now. And they're just on their out lap still, I believe, at the moment. Just getting their tyres warmed up, just getting their brakes warmed up. Although they're doing a Kimi Räikkönen, there's no weaving left and right to get the tyres.
A quick tip for you guys: if it shows a certain absurdly high lap time as their best, that shows they've done an out lap. Should be on a flying lap.
Absolutely, yeah, that makes sense. It's also good to see the lead singer of Coldplay has joined us tonight, Chris Martin, currently sat in the pits, but a late entrant to the series. Obviously, it's not actually that Chris Martin, but I assume it's not anyway. I'm getting a little bit of grief in the chat here. I'm not sure what I've done to deserve this, but never mind. So first of all, Bob the Warrior, thanks for joining us tonight, and he's cheering on Mr. Hurst. Nice to see that. Rolling Thunder, aka Jovan Kovacic, for your reference. He's sorry to be missing this one with a torn muscle. Jimbo asks whether that is linked to how I broke my ankle. Well, number one, it's not my ankle, it's my third and fourth metatarsal, but I'll give you that one. Apparently we've been playing footsie together too, roughly, or playing kiss chase in the bedroom. This is... Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting so much grief, but there we go.
I remember 20 years ago, nobody had heard of a metatarsal, and then was it David Beckham who hurt his? And then everybody suddenly was like a doctor, a physician, and they all knew what a metatarsal was. But before that, it was just, I've hurt my foot.
Well, exactly. But no, so I broke the third and fourth. I've got a chip off the fifth. And I might have a misalignment of the second, which if I do, I'll need surgery, but I'll find out tomorrow.
See, Johnny Herbert got his feet mashed in that, was it Formula 3000 accident at Brands Hatch?
Terrifying.
You didn't hear him mentioning metatarsals once.
No, but that's because he smashed everything.
My feet are mashed. The metatarsals, yeah, there's probably one in the trees over there.
He's probably not got any now.
But he didn't complain. He got on with it and drove and...
Yeah. I'm not doing that. I'm now getting grief in here as well as in the chat. Excellent stuff. And I believe that our one of our community managers, Mr. Wendy, Willie Blackhammer, when he did something to his foot a couple of years ago, he was driving using the gear shifters as accelerator and brake. I do not have the coordination to be doing that, so you'll not see me on track doing that, that's for sure. As we see James Suckling almost dropping it, but he is our provisional pole man with a 142.265.
So I'd be expecting, for anyone watching who doesn't know how fast this track is, maybe, or how fast these guys are compared to everybody else in the world. When I drove at Kyalami about a year ago in a different ACC series, pole position was about a 1 minute 40.5, and I think I started 11th or so with a 42.5. So I'd be looking for the pro drivers to start nudging the 1 minute 40s, just as a rough gauge for a yardstick to compare everybody else to.
So, good evening, Jerome Norman. Always nice to have you along. And he tells us a bit of inside knowledge here that the SimGrid poll last week was 39.8.
So yeah, that's sort of because I won't profess that I was in the top class. I mean, there was a W Series driver in the series I was in, but by no means were many of us aliens. I mean, I'd say, or maybe any of us. I'm certainly not an alien when it comes to ACC, as Dan Hyde can attest to. I was whinging about how ACC physics are compared to sort of other simulators out there. It's very difficult to. Each of the cars very different. Everyone, they're very nuanced in how their weight shifts across the car from tires to left side to the right side, whether the car's got the engine in the front or the mid-engine. They're all so very different beasts to handle. So, hats off to any of these drivers who can wrestle their car around in under 1 minute 40.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Mormon can only do a 40.7. He says only. I would. I'd have kittens if I was able to do that kind of pace. Jimbo approaches the elephant in the room and says, "There must be negative towers." I wondered how long it would be before that exploit came up in the chat. But we'll get onto that, I'm sure, at some point. So just a run through the top order. James Suckling is on pole with a 41.9. Mr. D-Stack puts himself second with a 42.7, so big old gap there. And then JB Julian Bell, 42.8. And Shane Watts, Vihan Van Rooyen, Dirk Botha, and then Mr. Van Oosenen, Ralph Fest, Jim Allen, Grant Eckett. That's your top 10. Now, I don't know if it's just my end, but
No, it's not. It happened. We've
No,
got a bit of
we've got a bit of a freeze.
a freeze happening.
We
And I also want to check the spelling of Shane Watt's name.
That's 3 T's. That's excellent. Well, 1 T's not enough, so I want 2. No, I want 3, please.
Just could be a running gag where every race an extra T is added and C until he notices.
Indeed. So thanks again to all of you in chat. Well, those of you that are being nice anyway. Mr. Thunder, I'm very sorry to hear about your incident. But yeah, I hope you can recover pretty quickly and get back on track. Our technical man is just trying to sort out the old freeze Rooney in the background. In the meantime, we can carry on talking all things sim racing. In fact, let's tackle that issue of the negative toe. Have either of you tried it?
No, I'm not even familiar with the term because I understand giving somebody a toe, but
No. So there is
toe.
how should we put it? Okay, the only kind way to put it is there's a bit of a setup hack that's been found. It would appear to be an issue that that the guys at Kunos must be working on to
I
get
see.
sorted.
I see. Okay, that's kind of toe. I thought you meant giving somebody a slipstream and.
No, TOE rather
Yeah.
than TOW. Yes, sorry. And yeah, the issue has been sort of brought to the world's attention by Jardy 8, and yeah, there is an issue there that it does allow for better tyre wear. It would appear to have some pace advantage as well. So yeah, it's one of those unfortunate things, but it's available to everyone, I suppose.
Oh, I'll have to try that. I've been practicing in the Hurricane at Imola to do some driving with. Well, Dan Hyde wants me to take on the role for Imola at the E-Team Brit GT Challenge. And all the aliens can do sort of 1 minute 40, 1 minute 41 around Imola. And I'm still struggling down in the low 144s, which Dan tells me is good, but I'm going to beat myself up until I'm down into the 142s.
Absolutely, yeah. I managed a mid 43 in our race last week. But yeah, some of the guys are just at insane pace. They really are.
What car were you doing it in?
That was the Lexus. Was it the Lexus?
I don't know. You tell me.
I can't remember. Listen, I've slept since then. I can't remember these things. I'm sure it must have been the Lexus, because I would have been getting myself ready for this. Trying to drive the Lexus as much as possible, but there you go.
I've got very limited experience with ACC. I've done sort of one championship which had about 8 rounds, and that was it. So I've only had 8 competitive races. I've never just logged on just onto ACC multiplayer mode and had a go. And we may be back with our guys back on track. Only just under 8 minutes remaining of qualifying, so we've missed the silvers out on track. But when the driver ladder resets to the top, we'll be able to run you through how they got on. But it will be the pros on track now, and this is where we'll be expecting the fastest times, as we're following Ben Brown in the really gorgeous purple of the McLaren.
Yeah, that's one of the oNiD liveried cars. Ben is our newly appointed head of media. So we've made a few changes in how things run, and Ben is our head of media. So he's the boss of all the streams and all the fancy work that you saw with the intro videos and the overlays and stuff like that. Ben's been working really, really hard on those. So thank you to that, Mr. Head of Media. He is out on track right now, as is another one of our head ofs, Dave Zalecki. He's our actually, I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to tell you what he's head of, so I'm not going to. But he's head of something, and he's a very important man within the oNiD world. And there he is. He has been brave, and he's driving a Porsche this season.
So he's 7/10 down on his lap at the moment, and he's going to quickly catch up with the Mercedes there. I'm not sure who it is, whether he'll get a clean run or whether he'll need to slow down, sort of get some space, because he doesn't want to catch anybody up or come across them whilst they're spinning or anything. But we see Christian Kelly with 141.8 is the fastest time out on track, just a smidge ahead of James Suckling. So it's quite close at the moment. And as I say that, Jonathan Seville goes even faster with a 141.5.
Miles Dixon pops in third, just behind Christian. But it's interesting to see James Suckling is one of the silvers. So he's got a decent time on the board. We can expect a lot more from Jimmy Mancy, though, currently down in 6th, as Dylan Beeson goes fastest with a 141.4. So the times are beginning to crunch down already. Good evening, Willie Blackhammer. Willie Blackhamer in the chat. Well done indeed. Mormon is asking whether Willie is head of tools. We don't really put Willie in charge of anything, because that's just far too dangerous, to be honest. Who are we watching right now? This is Dylan Beeson.
Question for you from me, as you've got much more experience with ACC than I do. Do you notice the track rubbering in as other people go out on track? Do you notice the track getting faster to much degree, or is it the opposite, where you get marble build up and it's harder to go faster?
Within session, I don't think there's a huge variation within the session, but a lot of it depends on how it's been set up by the organizer anyway. So much of the grip is dependent on the track temps and things like that anyway. But the biggest variation you'll see is from one session to the next. As Johnny said earlier, the practice session is set to be on a Friday with a very green track. And then by the time you get into Saturday qualifying, it's far less green, a lot more grip on the track. You do get some marbling, but it's not a huge issue in ACC.
How's Jimmy Mansey's taken that second place from Jonathan Seville with a 41.502. And then we caught him just going wide and invalidating his next lap as he was pushing to close the gap with Beeson, who's just gone another 10th faster, I think, with a 41.310, and he's going faster still.
Indeed he is, as is Seville. Seville a 10th or so up at this moment in time. A few other drivers either just taking a last-minute dive for the pits for a fresh set of boots. Enough's enough. Martin Thorpe is in 8th and he's just heading out for another lap. So always interesting to see how Martin gets on. He is super quick in everything we watch, but we are looking at Jonathan Seville right now, 3/10 up. He's the one making the moves at the moment. 3/10 would move him pole in that super colourful McLaren. Looks like the McLarens are quick tonight.
Yeah, and anyone coming out of the pits now, they're going to have to be quick because they're only going to get their out lap, and then they'll get one shot at a flying lap. It doesn't seem like there'll be any more time. As he's coming round to the final corner now, the left-hander, he's still got a third of a second. He's found an extra 10th through there, so that is going to easily be a new pole position fastest lap time.
That's a cracking time from Jonathan Seville, 141.175. So he's a couple of tenths clear at the minute. Dylan Beeson not on the strong lap at the moment, but he has time to start another one. Jimmy Mansey is a 10th up, creeping up towards 2 tenths as well. So that's going to put him right in the mix. Needs to find a little bit more. You can also see Lasse Weeman is making good progress. I wonder if that's Weeman or Veeman.
I think we had this debate a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still not any clearer. We're just travelling with Ben Brown at the moment, who's in the evaluation races. He was driving the Honda NSX. He's switched over to the McLaren, and
OP.
I was going to say he's found a lot of time. He was starting down in 20th with the NSX, so he looks much more comfortable in the McLaren. He's a 10th of a second up, and he's a personal favourite of mine. He does some cracking graphic work. He's done some cracking livery work for me with my esport team, and yeah, I've raced against him as well. I unfortunately lost to him, but we were rivals. We were rivals on track with E-Team Brits GT Challenge when they used R Factor 2. So, because he's a good benchmark for me, I know roughly where I am compared to Ben. So it's nice to see him doing well.
Indeed, as Seville is the first one into the 140s, 140.997. So just creeps in, but that puts him just over 3 tenths clear of Beeson now. Mansey, game over. He will not be higher than 3rd, and in fact that position is at risk because you've got the likes of Kelly and Dixon still out on track as well. James Suckling punching above his weight and ruining Willie's spreadsheets by being 7th, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he is silver class, so good to see that. But Dylan Beeson, I think, is the one to watch. Look, he is a quarter of a second up on this lap. Going
to be the only one, I think, who's got a realistic chance of being able to spoil Seville's party, as it were. I think he's just trying to work where Beeson is on track at the moment. Is he just coming out of turn 11? Is this down into Mineshaft?
No.
Sorry,
I was just looking at the chat because apparently it is Veeman. It's Veeman. We can confirm it is Veeman.
He's coming up to turn 10 now. So Liu Kopp, I think, is turn 10. Then he'll be coming down the sort of gentle left-hander where you can sort of run it flat out through Mineshaft. And he's almost half a second up. So as the clock strikes 0, he could really spoil things for Seville and take the first pole of the series.
That's 6/10 up now. This could be a huge lap as he comes in towards the final couple of corners. Lost a little bit on the exit there. Gives that sausage curve plenty of wide berth and into the final corner. Let's see what he can do across the line. This is 2/3 of a second up.
He's done it. I think he's done it.
Indeed, he has, and we don't see the time. But it was quick.
So excited. The whole system wet itself in excitement, and that wee has gone into the electrics and ruined everything, as you can see.
Dan, stop weeing in the electrics. Good.
Busy weeing.
There we go.
Yes,
So you should be able to
or
see
mopping up.
the order of where everyone is at the moment.
So, Adam, we take us through our classifications for today's race.
Indeed. So in pole position overall is Dylan Beeson in the McLaren, and then Seville second, also in the McLaren. Jimmy Mansey takes third. This is all in the pro class, by the way. Christian Kelly then in fourth. I don't think I've ever seen Christian so low down an order. Just shows what kind of talent that man has. Miles Dixon is fifth. Martin Thorpe sixth. Ben Brown will be pleased with seventh, I think, mainly because he's ahead of Dave Zalecki, who is in 10th. James Suckling is the first of the silver drivers, punching right above his weight up there in 8th, ahead of Veman, then Zalecki, then it's Bukov. JB, Julian Bell, I don't know where Jonathan came from, is second in silver, 12th overall. Chris Martin, 13th overall. That's another pro. Then a batch of silvers. Steen, Van Ruyen, Watts, Stack. One more pro, Alex Parkin, and then back into the silvers with Manshanden, Botha, Eckert, Black, Van Oostenen, Vest, Jelinek, and then Allen, Ashley, and Tom Stocks. Oh, Tom Stocks.
10 seconds.
Order. 10 seconds to go until the formation lap. So very quickly, here's the AM class: Samoas, Morel, Depper, Roughton, Jackson, Medina, Hurst, Guerra, Ola, Sambi, Beaucamp, and Heike van der Veen. So there you go. That is your 40 cars.
Well done on the pronunciations as well. I think Steen is Stain.
Stain, okay, and I know that I'm getting Van Oostenen wrong. He's given us some helpful hints here in the chat. He says, say Wilbert Van Oosaunen. He then says, if I say that, I'll be really close. You know what? I might go with WVO. How's that?
Let's have a look. Just say Wilbert Van Oostenen.
You can tell us who's better on that one. I'm going to go with WVO for now, that's for sure. We got the confirmation on Veman. Thunder seems to be praying. Norman is asking, where's Forsberg in the Honda? I don't know, actually. Where is Mr. Forsberg? He's been a little bit...
I haven't seen any Hondas, actually. Is there a Honda on the grid today?
I don't think there is.
Oh, no, there is one. I just spotted a H. Well, there's Watts with 3 T's in 16th.
What?
You were saying Christian Kelly being low down in 4th, but I don't think I ever, when I was racing with him in the E-Team Brit GT Challenge, I don't think I ever saw him higher than 4th, because the series was dominated by Corvettes, of which he was not driving one. So he was usually about 5th or 6th.
Whenever I've commentated on him, he's always winning.
He is phenomenally talented.
He is. Yeah. But I think what it does is it goes to show the level of talent that is in the oNiD World Series this time around. It's the 2022 World Series. First race live from Kyalami. We're about to go into a 45-minute race with 1 mandatory pit stop. The mandatory element is just 1 litre of fuel, so a lot of them will just do a splash and dash with it being a 45-minute race. Some may choose to take tyres, but I doubt it for this short length of race. Guys, very quickly before we get started, Cammie, who's going to win?
Oh, let's go for Christian Kelly. I know him, so let's go for Christian Kelly. How about
yourself? Dan, let's do Dan first. Dan, who's going to win?
My money's on dive bomb Jimmy Mancy.
Damn it! I was going to go with Mancy. All right, I'll go the easy way and say pole man Dylan Beeson. If he can repeat the kind of lap that he did towards the end of qualifying, then he should romp away with this one.
So the cars are just getting into double file as they're coming out of Crocodiles through Cheetah. Are you right there? Not losing you, are we? I know you've lost your ankle or your foot, but okay.
Oh, no. I think Johnny's just joined us. So
that wasn't you coughing.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay. Oh, good. As they're coming into turn 16, the sharp, more than 90-degree left-hander, and they'll have their speed limiters activated until the green light comes on. It all comes down to who can react quickest and who gives themselves a bit of space to put their foot down without running into the car in front. I can't see the green light.
There we go.
And there we go.
And let's see. It looks like Dylan Beeson has made a strong start, but Seville has gone with him. But I don't think he's going to be brave enough to go around the outside at T1. It's a sharp one, so let's hope for no carnage through turn 1. Looks okay up at the front. I'm sure we'll scan backwards a little later on, but we can see a big old pack coming through, so it looks okay. But Dylan Beeson leads him away with Jonathan Seville in second and Jimbo Mancy in that rather marauding looking BMW is third. That looks to me like Ben Brown has got himself up into fourth, which is a great start for Ben. Is that right, or is that somebody else? We'll see in just a moment.
Sure, I'm just catching a glimpse of Watts with the... No, it wasn't Watts. I'm just... Car number 6 is way back in the pack, so it... But it looked like they were much further back before they reached turn 1, so I'm not happy.
I think
car 6.
I think they started from the pits. I think I remember seeing a car in the pits before we actually got started. Grant Eckett there in the Lexus. It might be the sole Lexus now after my rather sorry retirement from the series. So good luck, Grant, representing that amazing sounding Lexus. But he is thumping through the order. I was wrong, it wasn't Ben Brown up in fourth, it's Christian Kelly. He is being kind enough to run one of the oNiD liveries on the McLaren this series as well. So we'll let everything settle down and then we'll have a good look at the order as those two make some contact. It's a tricky corner. Dylan Beeson goes through in the lead then. What's the gap out front, Dan? Can we just take a look at that?
We're looking back from Eckett. Now we're travelling with Dylan Beeson, who's starting to edge out a slight lead. He's already built up over a second. There's, unlike Formula 1, there's no DRS system in GT3 racing. Frankly, we don't need it. The racing's good enough without it. But he has built up just under 1.3 seconds, and then another half second behind Seville is Mancy, then down to Kelly, Dixon, Thorpe, Suckling, Salazeki, and Ben Brown's lost a couple of positions. He was up in 7th, and Chris Martin's directly behind Ben Brown. That makes up your top 10 as we're following Chris Martin in the AF Corsa Ferrari. Just a little bit there, catching the gravel as they go into the S's, which is personally my favourite part of Kyalami.
Indeed, we now pick up the very bright Ralph Vest McLaren. He switched away from his NSX that he ran in the last series. So good to see Ralph back with us for the Apex Driving School McLaren. He is towards the bottom end of the silver class right at this moment in time, right behind Petr Jelinek in the Ferrari. Not as many Ferraris out there as we've seen just recently. Lots of BMWs, lots of McLarens, lots of Bentleys as well. Those cars looking super good at the moment.
Vest making an attempt around the outside of turn 13 there. And he's made it stick. A fantastic overtaking manoeuvre around the outside of turn 13. Not an easy move at all. As we saw Simone's there pulling out to have a look. He's managed to... He hasn't made up the place, but Jelinek did go off his line and he has conceded a place to Alex Deppa, who takes that down the start-finish straight. And by a first corner, he has got it. Jelinek's coming back at him though, but he has to back out of it and concede that he's going to have to lose that battle, but fight on another day.
And this is where these guys need to think. They need to really think about what's going on around them, because some of these guys are in different classes. So do you want to be racing somebody hard who's in a different class to you? No is probably the answer, because the last thing you want to do is get yourself caught up in an incident with somebody in a different class.
I'd say unless you're a Depar or Simose and you're at the front end, so you're at the front end of your group and you're battling with the tail enders of the next class, that's it. You know, if you're faster than them, by all means, go for it. But, you know, if you're Hurst and you've got Stocks behind you and, you know, Stocks, it's obvious he's faster, you know, you don't lose any points for letting somebody of a different class go by. And if they're consistently faster, you know, it could be a good opportunity for them to learn from a faster driver. Just let them go ahead and, you know, look at where their braking points are and just see if you can learn something.
Absolutely. And do you know what? Sometimes, even if you are in a higher class, but one of the lower class drivers behind you is clearly faster, let them go. You're not going to lose anything from it. You know, there's no ego to be lost in letting somebody go. It's sometimes a very sensible move, as we pick up Victor Bukov in 12th in that silver and green Mercedes. A little battle directly behind between, I think, Van Rooyen and Shane Waters.
Yeah, I think we saw a Lexus and a NSX getting side by side, but I think it was the BMW. It looks fairly similar to the Lexus from behind anyway, when you can't see its big bearing, big boy grille.
It was indeed, and look at those two Bentleys directly behind. You've got the Alex Parkin car, which is the white and blue Bentley, and then directly behind that is the oNiD car of Willie Black. So those two will be enjoying a battle, but see, Willie Black is the main protagonist of don't fight somebody in a different class from you. But let's see whether he is going to fight Alex Parkin, because Alex is in Pro, Willie is in Silver, but Willie will be looking at trying to stay with Van Rooyen and Waters.
Well, I'd say he needs to. If he wants to fight for a podium finishing class, he needs to get past Alex Parkin, because at the moment he's being held up by Parkin. He's the tail ender of the Pro class. So,
in fact, Stain is trying to go around the outside of Willie, then cuts back. He's then got to watch for Derek Stack directly behind that Porsche of Stack, looking marauding as well, and then WVO directly behind them as well. This is a solid pack of racing. In fact, you can chuck into the mix there as well Dirk Botha, Grant Eckert. They're all together at this moment in time. If you look at the track map, the majority of the field is still compressed together in that big long snake around Kyalami. The interesting thing will be the strategy that these guys take in terms of the pit stops. Some of them will pit early, try and get the undercut, but they run the risk of finding themselves in traffic. Some will pit a lot later to try and get the free track. Some will do the simple 50-50 split. What about you, Cammie? What do you normally prefer in a mandatory pit stop?
The only series I've been in, they regulated when you could take your pit stop. It was an hour-long race, and essentially the pit window was the sort of middle 20 minutes.
Oh, that's tight.
So it didn't give us a lot of space. I think I tried to do it sort of the 35-minute mark, so just after halfway, because I let people do their thing of diving in immediately. But I remember getting caught out by I had already pitted, and then I was stuck behind somebody who hadn't pitted, and they were much slower, but they made it impossible to overtake them, as every time I got past them, and they would sort of quickly sneak back by on the inside, and I think I ended up barging my way past them, sort of. You know, I was using VR, and I think I sort of looked to the side and gave them two fingers as they finally pitted. I was very annoyed because they had cost me a lot of time, and they were in a different class to me, so it made no sense to me why they were defending so hard. But Yeah, I'm
Such
getting in the mood
life.
to sort of return to all of this racing. Actually, I've only recently just got an Oculus Quest 2, courtesy of Caden Computers.
Oh,
So
very good, very good.
maybe if
Wait.
oNiD Racing will have me as a wildcard entry.
Speak to the boss about that. Talking of the boss, Johnny Ash, can you hear us?
Oh, don't come to me.
How's it going, Johnny?
I binned it on the outlap out to pit.
Oh, have we got a replay of that, Dan?
No, we haven't.
I'm sure we can find a replay of
So,
that. So here's Johnny Ashley, car number 40.
Car
This
number
isn't-
9. Car number 9.
9,
He is in
40th.
40th.
Sorry, he's in 40th. Yep.
And Johnny, I don't know if you've looked at your mirrors recently, but that's the leaders coming round directly behind you.
Yeah, well, I know. Thank you, Adam.
How's the featured driver going for you this week?
It was good until I binned it into a wall, and then I thought, oh, the damage isn't too bad, so I will try and do the first lap, and then realised I was just holding everyone up, so I had to come into the pits, and now I'm 40 seconds behind 39th, and I've still got to do a pit stop because the 15-minute window isn't open for another 5 minutes. So
That's okay. Gilbert Van Oosenen just had a spin there, so I don't think they binned it, but they did have an off. Driver ladder's disappeared. I'm not sure if we're just checking out a replay. So it's,
Yep, we are.
yeah,
It's,
with a bit of a dive bomb from the lime green and black BMW, and just punted number 420, the funny number, round. So no fault of their own.
the incident panel will be busy with that one, I think. So just for anyone who is new to watching stuff with oNiD, we're a rapidly growing community. Actually, we're rapidly heading towards 1,000 members now, which will just be absolutely nuts when that does happen. But what happens when there is an incident? Well, the driver can report it through an online portal, and as we see, Van Rooyen is off track as well, finding a bit of space to reverse back on. We're seeing a replay of it now. Oh, that was Chris Martin, I think, in the Ferrari. Got on the curb and bounced off into Van Rooyen. Well done for holding your brakes and staying there. Nice and predictable. So that's another one that will probably get reported. And then there is a big bank of stewards that take a look at all of these incidents. That's an independent bank of stewards who take a look at these incidents and make recommendations.
So that must have been hurting him, as he just had to wait for a stream of cars going by. The amount of time he lost, that's wrecked his whole race really, and he's just going to be on, in damage recovery mode. No chance of a solid result for him now, as Dirk Bofa was having a little excursion, trying to go wheel to wheel with the Porsche 911 of was that Stack?
Eric Stack, yep.
Yeah, I mean,
it is.
You can't go side by side through Cheetah. It's pretty ill-advisable, but you want to stay ahead, and sometimes you just need to know when to sort of back out of a fight and just come back at the next corner, as Kenny Sambi is sitting across the track.
Oh.
It just looked like they just drove straight into the wall. I don't know what to make of that. How about you, Adam?
No.
Hold your brake.
And also it's not the greatest piece of rejoining. The only thing I wonder is whether there is maybe the wheel disconnected or something, because that looks like he's not particularly in control of that situation. If you look at the wheels still spinning round, feet on the curb, I wonder if there's been some kind of disconnect there.
It looked like his car just went off on a tangent, like the last piece of information the steering wheel had, and then just the car stopped turning and went straight on from the point it disconnected. Because it didn't look like he was making any attempt to turn away from the wall. There was no braking, there was no spinning into the wall. He just head-on collision with it. So that is unfortunate. As we're riding now with Johnny Ashley. What was he? You said sort of not driver of the day.
Featured driver.
Featured driver, who's managed to move up to 39th place, I think, because of our errant Porsche.
Johnny knows how to win driver of the day. He's been awarded it once before by me, and that was by an absolute splendid switcheroo overtake caught live on stream. Do something like that, Johnny, and you never know, you might be driver of the day again. But at this rate, 39th is not going to get you in that spot. So what's the situation up at the front, Dan? I think Jimbo Mansi was still all over the back of second by the looks of it. He is indeed. In fact, Seville and Mansi are both catching up Beeson. And this is your first, second and third all in one shot right together, separated by about a second in total, all of them. So this one I think is going to rumble on all the way through the race as we look at Miles Dixon on the back of Christian Kelly as well. So that McLaren BMW battle continuing to fight on.
Yeah, nice bit of defensive driving there from Christian Kelly as well. He's not weaving around to block or anything. He was just holding sort of a central line, making his car as wide as possible. As going through the S's, is that Ben Brown or was that Christian Kelly?
No, that was Suckling just getting ahead of Ben Brown. So Ben still down in 9th. I think Suckling and Brown are still battling away, although the timing tower seems to suggest that Veeman, so it was Veeman getting past Brown, sorry. I'll get it right in a minute. It was Veeman getting past Brown. Call me Murray Walker. Pit window is open, by the way, as we see the first cars taking to the pits.
See, my prediction of Christian Kelly could still come true. The trio there, all they need to do is take each other out in their fight for the lead, and that will open the way for a Christian Kelly victory. So
Miles Dixon to the inside of Christian Kelly, though, to move Christian down to 5th. So a lovely move into turn 1. You're absolutely right. The power of that BMW getting alongside the McLaren for that Pulse Sim Sport car. So well on Miles. He gets himself up another place, and Christian will be looking in his mirrors because that blue and gold car of Martin Thorpe is not a huge distance behind, and when Martin means business, the man means business. As we look at Ralph Vest in the pits, Manchanden, Stocks and Hurst are also in the pits. That was Tom Stocks you saw briefly in the Alpine F1 car, the Alpine F1 team Bentley, and that is because Tom Stocks does of course work for Alpine, so rocking a beautiful Alpine livery there to represent his work friends.
Do you ever run a livery scheme with the logo and sort of graphics of your employer?
Well, I work for myself and run a business called Sim Stuff. So I do tend to run a livery that promotes my own sim racing business. So
I may need some sim stuff at some point in the future. I was told I might need like a pedal rumble kit to help me better trail brake.
Yeah, unfortunately that's not what Sim Stuff do. We are button boxes primarily.
Oh, I do need one of those.
Well, there you go. And we do customs as well. In fact, I'm talking to Johnny at the minute about a nice purple and black oNiD custom effort, which might be quite nice. In the meantime, we look at Alex Depper, who continues to lead in the AM class, and that is Gabby Samoas right behind him in the BMW. So these two just looking to solidify themselves at the front of the AM class. They're a decent gap ahead of Morel in 26th overall and 3rd in class. But the battle rages on between the two of them, always in love with Alex Depper's team name of Slow Patrol.
Snow Patrol? As in
Slow Patrol.
Oh, Slow Patrol. Okay.
It's a nice play on Snow Patrol, though. Yes, we've got Coldplay and Snow Patrol references in tonight. It's like we're back in the early 2000s already. Looking at Viktor Bukov here, he has taken a stop. So again, those of you not familiar with watching stuff on ACC or watching broadcasts with us, where you see they've got a orange box with a number 1 in on the timing tower, that means they've still got to take their mandatory stop. It turns green when they have done so. And if you're wondering what the coloured number blocks are to the left of that, Well, the white ones, they are Pro Class, the silver ones are Silver Class, and the red ones are Am Class. And the number is just their car number. Always worth just running through those things in case some of you are watching for the first time. I did forget to say a hello to HRD91. Thank you for your kind comments about the league. It does look amazing. We're really chuffed with this. 40 drivers in tonight. There'll be up to 46 drivers at times during this league, which by the time we throw 46 GT3 cars around Alton Park and Bathurst, anything could happen, to be honest.
As we're following with the battle between Thomas Stocks and Ralph Fest, we've got a nice new graphic on the screen just showing the differences between their lap times and their split times. They're quite evenly matched at the moment as they're fighting. So they've had their pit stop. That would be why they're further down, you know, as the classes sort of get mixed up a bit. But it is a good feeling when you've had your pit stop and, you know, it feels like you're making up 3 places, sort of, you know, making progress for free when you watch everybody else pit and they've pitted too late and they've been stuck in traffic and you just see yourself rising up the field. It's a good feeling as they come across it. Oh, and the graphics just disappeared as I went to read it.
Absolutely, but Tom Stock's starting to make some progress now. I think he must have had a bit of a ropey beginning to this race because he's a lot lower down than you expect Tom to be. But starting to come back through now and having that battle with Ralph Fest. I'm sure we'll check back in on that later on because our director switches to this battle between Chris Martin and it looks like Victor Bukov behind him. So I assume Julian Bell has just got ahead of Chris Martin. In fact, he has. So Julian Bell running a nice new livery because our young Swedish protege has just got himself signed up for a SIMRACING Esports Academy team. Very talented driver, just 15 years old. As Bukov does a huge move up the inside and Martin takes the sensible route and dives into pits. Let's just go take a look at Julian Bell's livery if we can actually. Please, Dan. Car number 6. 17th. Here he comes in the Aston Martin. JB has been with us for quite some time at oNiD. No, the livery's going to be loaded for next week.
We just saw a BMW going really wide at turn 1 there. But correct me if I'm wrong, Bell was the chap who started from the pit lane today because I think I said it was number 6.
That's correct.
But
that is absolutely correct. So Guerra has stopped. He stopped just after getting an SG30. So I hope he hasn't stopped because he got an SG30 because that's not the done thing. But he comes out of the pits. He's obviously picked up the stop and go whilst in the pits, and I fear he may have parked it as a result of getting that penalty.
When you have a stop go, it's sort of usually you serve it in the pit lane. You can't just stop where you are and sort of serve a stop go. It doesn't really work like that. But he seems to be on his way again now, so
excellent. Yeah, I was worrying that he might have decided to exit stage left, but no, he's still with us. Good man. One thing that the oNiD is pretty strict on is drivers completing the race wherever possible. Obviously
no rage quitting.
No rage quitting. If you disconnect or something technical happens, then fair dues. But rage quitting not allowed. And in fact, drivers that don't complete 75% race distance get points on their oNiD license as a result. So. But that was not what Guerra was doing. Maybe he was just getting out of the way of everyone flooding around as we see more cars diving for pits. And we ride with Graham Jackson, or Cammie. Do you remember what he's also known as?
Was it Dog Juice?
This is Dog Juice, indeed.
So tell me the story, because it sounds grim, but maybe there's viewers out there who don't know why he's called Dog Juice.
Do you know what? I'm not sure I can remember the exact story.
It's gone 9 PM, so if it's sort of watershed sort of rude thing.
I don't think it was quite as grim as that, but I don't remember the exact story. I'll tell you what, I'll make sure we've got it for next week. But on the subject of SG30s. Much bigger deal, this one. Miles Dixon
Oh, yeah.
has got himself an SG30. So that will put Christian Kelly effectively back ahead of him as Dylan Beeson takes to the pits. So our leader is in. And,
And very wide there through Mineshaft. Yeah, Beeson's in the pits. Mancy's got the fastest lap at the moment. I don't know if we can see what his fastest lap time was, as Miles Dixon was getting a bit of a slide on through Cheetah. So Mancy's best is a 1:41.7. So they're starting to get close to their qualifying times now. As the petrol starts to, they're probably less than half a tank in the car now. So yeah, they've got a much lighter car underneath them. Blue flags out there. Was that for? I was thinking that was for Johnny Ash earlier, but yeah, some blue flags out there. It might have been for Gabriel Simoes. I'm not sure.
So something has obviously happened to Gabby Simoes, because he is well down the order in AM class now and hasn't taken his pit stop yet.
No,
so something has happened to Gabby. He's dropped himself down the order.
We've got another stop go there for Morel in the Porsche that is running in 3rd place in class at the moment. So that's going to spoil his podium chances today, which is a shame, as he's just letting the Lamborghini of Alan go round past him. There's no point fighting it. They're in different classes, but it looks like he's going to come in straight away. So he's already pitted, as he's got a green mark by his name, but he's coming in now to serve that stop-go penalty.
Indeed he is. Dan, I request you give a moment in the sun to Dog Juice Graham Jackson, who is currently, because he hasn't stopped, leading the AM class. So car 75 is your AM class leader at this moment in time. There he is. Well done, old DJ. He's driving a Tag Heuer. I never know how to say that properly.
I would say Tag Heuer.
Yeah, Tag Heuer. Yeah. It almost sounds better just going, yeah.
Tag Heuer.
Tag Heuer.
But is he officially with Tag Heuer, or is he sort of just pinched that?
No.
Do they know he's racing in a sort of black unliveried Ferrari? They might want words of him.
I think there is probably not a huge amount of knowledge from the well-respected watchmaker to DJ's actions in this league, but
there was a driver who did that. I don't know if you know of a driver, not in this series, David Taylor Piggott. He was racing around in somebody's colours, and it took them completely by surprise, and they were saying, he's not racing with us. Why has he got our livery? And I don't think they would have minded, but he was consistently at the back and causing incidents. So yeah, they sort of didn't take too kindly to the fact that it was not identity theft, I suppose, but it didn't make them look very good.
I used to drive RC cars, and I used to do that, national championships and things like that, all that kind of shebang. And I had a very specific livery that I had designed with somebody who used to paint my cars for me. And I turned up at a race once, and somebody had taken a photograph of my car at a previous event, sent their body off to a painter, and just said, "Can you copy this?" I wasn't very pleased.
No, that's especially as you've worked hard on it.
As we see D-Stack and Willie Black battling away, so these two yet to stop. Currently leading the order in silver class. Oh, so Willie dives in.
Yep, in goes Black. Stack chooses not to. He's going to try and get some free air maybe for a lap or two before he comes in, but he's going to have to come in the next lap. He's only got the pit window closes in 2 minutes.
Yeah,
so he's going to have to make the most of this.
It looked to me like Derek had in mind, I'm going to do the opposite of what Willie does. So Willie went in, so to speak, and D-Stack stayed out. We've got a few of them playing tight with time. Mancy, Kelly, Thorpe, Zalecki, Veman, Stack and Bell all yet to pit. Dan, surely nobody would ever be so stupid to miss a pit window, would they?
Well, now you mention that.
Has it happened to anyone before?
I think it's happened to me more than once.
Indeed it has, yes.
feel that was a loaded question.
It was indeed, yes. He is known for such things. Interestingly, talking of people being known for such things, interestingly, we are half an hour through this 45-minute race, and our man Dave Zalecki, aka Drive-Through Dave, has not yet got himself a drive-through.
No, but Jelinek has. Down in 20th place in the Ferrari, he does have a drive-through penalty.
That's unfortunate.
So how would these drivers be picking up these penalties? I understand they may be speeding in the pit lane and picking up a drive-through, but we had some stop-go 30-second penalties.
Yeah, so I think, see if I get this the right way round. I always get it the wrong way round. If you speed on your way into the pits, you get a SG30. If you speed on the way out, you get a drive-through. It's either that or it's the other way round. It's one of those two. The other way that you can pick up a drive-through is through exceeding track limits too much. So you get 3 track limit warnings before you get yourself a drive-through penalty. And that's where Dave tends to come unstuck, is the old track limits. But drive-through Dave has not got himself a drive-through as yet.
They've all had their pit stops. It's all just flashed up. They've got their pit stops done now, except for Christian Kelly. I don't know. He's not in the pits at the moment.
In which case, Christian's challenge is over, because he will pick up a 130-second penalty at the checkered flag.
I'm just wondering if it's like it's not a graphical error. Maybe he's definitely forgot.
Tends not to be. So
I think the issue maybe he didn't put any fuel in. Otherwise, if he had pitted, he should surely be in the lead of the race.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's the other possibility, is that he didn't set it to fill up with the 1 litre of fuel minimum that's required. And therefore it doesn't count as a stop. The only other thing is that if he massively overshot his pit box and couldn't get back into his pit box, is possible. But a driver of Christian's calibre, you wouldn't expect that. Yeah, Christian Kelly could be in some trouble here. Jimmy Mansey getting close to Jonathan Seville, though, just half a second away. So that battle rages on.
Yeah, he still holds the fastest lap, 1 minute 41.760. Though, it's been a good 10 minutes since I last mentioned his fastest lap. So the cars have got, maybe 10, 12 kilos less fuel on board now as them, but still nobody's gone faster than him yet.
That's because the man is a stone cold alien. As we see Miles Dixon battling with Ralph Vest. He's just got himself ahead of Ralph as Miles continues to try and recover from his SG30. And we see JB up the inside of a car into the final corner. There is contact. That was with Manchandon. So there is a little bit of contact, but they both get away with it. JB then tucks back in for the slipstream up the start-finish straight. Thank you for the follow. This may contain nuts. Great name, by the way. JB does the dive into the first corner. That's a lot cleaner than it was into the final corner. And he gets himself up a position ahead of Manchandon into 22nd overall.
So is this new BMW, would you say it's OP? Is it a popular choice now?
It is a popular choice. It was OP, but has been nerfed in the last week. There was an update, and it did have a little bit of nerfing, as did the McLaren, but it's still super competitive. This may contain nuts also in chat. Welcome. Thank you for your kind comments on the commentating. There is not any spaces left in the league, I'm afraid, because the league is always closed to entries once the evaluation races have taken place. But there is always opportunities to drive with oNiD. Make sure you get yourself onto our Discord. To find out more information, head to onidracing.com.
Oh, got a Ferrari wide excursion there. Just trying new racing lines. Maybe it'll come off. Maybe it won't. But I think he was I wasn't sure that was Christian Kelly. He's 7
No, it
seconds
was
back.
Chris Martin. It was
So
Chris
Chris
Martin.
Martin trying new lines, but yeah, Mansi just will not leave Seville alone. They are nose to tail, and they've got 11 minutes to go. And Beaton's pulled out a slight lead there, 1.5 seconds. So it's not much, and they'll punish any mistake he makes. But it's, you know, when you start to build that cushion up and you can see it in your mirrors, it does take the edge off. It gives you a bit of breathing space, so that will help you relax. As Seville very wide there through the crocodiles, and he's managed to hold on to that second place just as Mansi sort of holds himself back from making any mad lunges. He's going to look around the outside of turn 16 and get the cut back as they go over the start-finish straight.
I believe the gap to first has actually come down since the pit stops. I believe after the pit stops it was up at 2.5 seconds.
Do you know what, Dan? You are our Ted Kravitz, aren't you?
I certainly
Yeah, we
can
have
be.
to say, let's go down to the pit lane with Dan Hyde.
But also, anytime he starts talking, I have to jump in and say, 2 secs, Dan. It's always 2 secs, Ted, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's always some kind of pit-to-car radio. But Mansi and Seville continue this battle. Both of them favouring that rather fluorescent yellow colour.
Yeah, I hope we can
That's
stay on
good.
board and watch this battle for a while now, because this is the battle to be watching, and some great defensive driving from Seville as well. I know he made the mistake at turn 13, but he's been putting his car in the right place, just make it impossible for Mansi to have a go without the risk of making contact. As I think one of the that would be the Ferrari of Chris Martin's. As these two are fighting with each other, that's allowing Chris Martin to close back up, and it would be, you know, I hope he doesn't feel the urge to unlap himself, because that would cause some problems for us.
It certainly would, yeah, and I don't think Chris is, as Jimmy Mansi gets super close to the back end of that McLaren. Yeah, I don't think Chris Martin has really got anyone directly in front that he's trying to chase. So, yeah, he would be better off just sitting behind these two and seeing how it's done. But he is getting closer and closer.
Yeah, I think what's happened with Jimmy Mansi there, as they went through Cheetah, Seville missed his apex, and then Mansi immediately missed the apex as well. And I think when you're following the car in front, it's term like object fixation.
Yes.
Like the more you focus on something in front of you, you start to copy what they're doing, but also it's very easy to end up driving into them when I think you want to avoid them as you go round. As we're back now with Grant Ecking, the really striking red and white Lexus livery, sort of hounding the back of this Porsche 911 of Team Vaseline.
Indeed,
So
he loves the
not
Team
Valvoline,
Vaseline. No,
Not Valvoline, Vaseline. The I guess it's not a lubricant, but like a body. It's a, what is
Should we leave
Vaseline?
that on there as well?
Petroleum jelly product.
Indeed, that's probably
Well,
the right way to put it.
The less said about the strap line on the team, the better.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, indeed. It's not the worst we've seen, but it's certainly not the best. Now, guys, I don't know if you remember. Oh, as we see Grant Ecking, I think just lost it in the background there. Certainly got very sideways, but as you probably remember, guys, I have to shoot at 9:15. So I'm going to be handing the reins over to Cammie and Dan for the last 7 minutes of this one. I'll just quickly answer the question from This May Contain Nuts in chat. We run these leagues all the time, basically. So we have a schedule that includes, as Miles Dixon, I think, has probably quit out and he's back in the pits. But yeah, we run ACC leagues on Sundays and Tuesdays and occasionally Fridays. We run AC leagues on Mondays, race room leagues on a Thursday. Oh, we've also got ACC leagues on a Thursday now as well. There's so much to choose from, and all of our series have 2 evaluation races followed by 6 races, and then we change it up for a new league. So there will always be something going on.
Easier to list when you're not racing.
Well, exactly, Wednesdays pretty much. But with that, guys, I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Cammie and Dan. Cammie, Dan, thank you for having me tonight, and thank you for letting me take over somewhat. It's been good fun.
Thank you very much,
Thanks for joining
Adam.
us.
So yeah, thanks for joining us, Adam. As we're back with Jimmy Mancy now, and this fight for second place, it looks like that Beeson's got it in the bag. He's pulled out now a 2.4 second lead, so it looks like it's going to be between Seville and Mancy with only just under 5 minutes to go as they round turn 11 as they come down into mine shaft again, full power down here with this sort of light kink to the left. And I'm just wondering, Dan, do you think Mancy's going to leave it to the last minute to make an overtake attempt when there's no chance of reply, as it were?
Yeah, I think he's going to try and hound him into a mistake, and then if he can't do that, wait until the last second to make one of his trademark dive bombs.
Does he sort of make it, he only has to make that dive bomb once and just hold on for a lap or so, as Graham Jackson going quite wide there in the Tag Heuer Ferrari.
As we were following Mancy earlier, I believe in the background we saw Chris Martin getting past Graham Jackson.
Now, earlier, Chris Martin we did see him with, I thought it was Chris Martin we saw with the potential to unlap himself from Mancy and
Yes, but it looks like it's
Seville.
dropped back a little bit now.
Yeah, so that's it. Yeah, they've got the hammer down a little bit. They've started to build up a gap from him again, so they must have been holding each other up to some extent. Now they're just driving together, as it were, rather than against each other to clear that gap. As we're back with Grant Eckert, he's still trying to find a way past the Vaseline Porsche 911. Mancy still holds the fastest lap of the race, 4 minutes 15 seconds to go. So we're looking at about 2 laps, maybe a third, depending on when the leaders cross the line. Julian Bell rounding the last corner, really right behind the rear end of the Bentley of Stocks.
You can see the Bentley pull away down the straight. It's building a gap. It's one of the fastest cars in the straight line.
So the Aston closes up under braking, but not quite enough. They're all, if they've got moves in mind, they're going to have to do it soon. As they're sort of rounding turn 5, Barbecue, and the old start-finish straight of what used to be Kyalami's old start-finish line before it was the circuit was renovated in the very early 90s.
As it looks like traffic is allowed to get through. I don't believe that BMW is on the lead lap. It's car number 85.
Just coming into the
Vision is correct.
S's now. Julian Bell getting a little bit of a slide on there. And I'm wondering if we can return to our fight for second place and see what's developing at the front. See if we've got any changes there.
Looks
So
like
still-
he's dropped back a little bit.
So is he just sort of preparing himself mentally for these last couple of laps? Sort of,
As we switch away, as you can see, Grant's finally got past Derek Stack.
So it looked like he did that either through the crocodiles or through Cheetah, but he's finally got it done, so he just needs to defend for these last couple minutes.
Yeah,
And
puts
that
him up
was
to
for
fourth.
position, and it was in class, wasn't it?
Yeah, 4th in silver. So still got another 4.1 seconds to make up if he wants to get on the podium.
And in front of him, it is Botha, then Watts with the 3 Ts, and then way up the road, several places ahead, Suckling in the number 84 BMW, who is sort of in another league, almost literally. He's sort of mixing it with the tail enders of the pros, behind Selecki and ahead of Ben Brown. Ben Brown running in 8th position, so he's made an improvement from where he started on the grid. Alex Depper in the sort of fantastic rose gold Lamborghini, way out in front in the AM class. He's sort of 12 seconds back from Manthanden, but he's good. I've got to do some quick maths. He's a good 18 seconds ahead of Jackson in the second place AM car in the Ferrari. So he's on his own. These are a nice couple of easy laps for him. He just has to keep it pointing in the right direction, and that will be job done as far as he's concerned. We're over with now with Danny Medina for FRK Motorsport in the AMG GT3 Mercedes-Benz. A minute to go now. The blue flag's waving. So that would be... Is he behind some of the lead? Could be behind some of the pro cars. What Red Bull car they're in front. But
I think they'll be for the Red Bull car. The car in front of that is the car he's trying to catch, I believe, Dixon Hurst.
yes, in the Aston.
In the Legacy Aston, shall we call it?
So this is the V12 Aston Martin, if I'm correct?
That is correct. That is the old V12 Aston Martin.
That is, yeah, you can tell by sort of the lights are different. They're a bit more DB9, DB7 looking, but it makes a fantastic noise compared to the V8. V8's sort of more of a grumble, whereas the V12's more of a scream. Sort of, as Vettel said, bring back V12s, and this is possibly the last of them.
If we switch back to the front, the gap's got down to 1.2
So we've only got
seconds.
10 seconds. Has Beeson crossed the line? Beeson looks like he's just about to cross the line now. So now starting the final lap, and the gap has come down. He had a 2.4 second lead over Seville. That has come down to under a second. So the leaders at the moment are all separated by less than 1.8 seconds. So one mistake could decide this race at the moment. They've all put themselves in contention for the victory, and I wouldn't count Seville or Mansi out of it at the moment. As Beeson runs wide out of turn 5, barbecue, down the old start-finish straight of the old Kyalami circuit, through into this nice long sweeping right-hander sunset. But it's very critical to get your line right there, because if you go wide, it's a long corner where you have to carry that wide line through, and you lose more and more time as the corner goes on. Out of Clubhouse, coming up to turn 8 now, the S's. Again, you need to pick your line and get it right, because you can, if you go wide, there's no recovering it until you get up towards turn 10, where you can sort of regain your composure. Beeson's, the gap has come down another third of a second, but it doesn't look like Beeson's, he's not doing enough wrong for Seville to catch. It would be a real mad lunge now if Seville was going to take the victory, and it would have to be quite the lunge now if Mansi was going to take the victory, take second place away from Seville. But through turn 13, the Crocodiles, they're still as they were. Nobody's making a mistake. Nobody's putting a foot wrong. Through the right-hand kink of Cheetah, that was the last place really that somebody would possibly make a mistake. Through turn 16, Ingwer, the last left-hander, and it looks like Beeson in the McLaren is going to come across and take